Welcome back to Sweet Tea, and I had something good for you today. I had a meeting today with a very insightful and inspiring person, and we were kind of going on about, business type things like structure and, how to scale and things like that, because I'm a business person, very entrepreneurial, and I like those kind of conversations. But he asked me a question. He said, what's your block? And I said, I got no, I'm thinking to myself, I don't got no blocks. But then I had to ask myself that question. What's my block? Now again, we're talking about scale. We're talking about, production. We're talking about serving more people. We're talking about doing more, being stronger, smarter, faster, better. But there's a part of me that wasn't quite ready to go that far, that fast. So when he asked me that question, I had to stop and think, you know what? I do have a block. And so once we were able to kind of, ping pong back and forth a little bit about what my block was, one of the things that came up was receiving. Having difficulty receiving, having difficulty knowing that there are people on this planet who believe in you, who believe in your vision, and would love to support you and help you do what you do. So one of the points that he made, and he just gave me some background about him growing up and how he had a very emotionally abusive environment that he grew up in, a physically abusive environment that he grew up in, and how he could handle the physical, abusive part, you know what I mean? He said he felt like he grew out of that. But one of the things that he developed out of that experience growing up was the voice in his head was louder than the voice of success, the voice of forward motion, the voice of confidence, the voice of security, the voice of peace. This other voice developed through these traumatic experiences. So when he would get in situations like pressured situations or accelerated growth situations, that voice would tell him, who do you think you are? You can't do this, and so on and so forth. So when he said that to me, I had an aha moment. Everybody has a voice. And sometimes it's multiple voices. There's the voice that says, yes, you can, and you got to feed that voice. But there's also the voice that says, no, you cannot. And depending on upbringing, depending on past experiences, depending on outcomes in very important relationships in your life, it determines which voice is fed, which one is louder, and which one you listen to. So when he was explaining his situation to me, I could see very clearly how my upbringing, my background, my community that I grew up in, the different experiences that I had growing up had absolutely developed a voice. And this voice during this moment in time was developing a block for me having forward motion. So here's what I learned about me, and I'm sharing this with you because again, it's so important that we study ourselves so we can know ourselves, so we can grow ourselves. Here's what I learned about me. Very early on, I learned you have to fend for yourself. If you want it, you have to go get it. So I've worked for a long time. I didn't have a dependence on other people. I'm a highly independent person. So then you get in a situation where you're doing all this great work with your company, community, and you're growing, expanding, bringing impact to city, and you find out, okay, wait, this is a big assignment. I can't do it by myself. I need help. But the block in you says, or the block in me said, no, do it on your own. Get it done. Make it happen. Well, in this present state of where I am with my company, my family, and my community impact goals, I have to have help. So in this meeting, I'm identifying the fact that the block in me says, don't help me, I'll do it myself. Because sometimes when help comes, especially from people that are put in position to help you in your life, like a parent or a teacher or a baseball coach, and then there's some level of emotional damage through those relationships, you start to block help from those kinds of leadership relationships. So in me identifying that in myself and seeing that this has been a stumbling block for forward motion, not just for me, but for every life I touch, I had to not just identify it, but now I got to get strategy to deal with it. So a couple of the things, and I'm just kind of being super transparent with you because my objective is to help you, and this is probably gonna be a little lengthy, but you can take it. So a couple of the steps that I've started to take was, number one, I have to feed the voice that says, yes, you can. Now this same voice is the voice that tells me, yes, you can do all these big, amazing things. Yes, you're gonna meet and develop all these crazy, successful people. Well, okay, I know that voice. Now I have to allow that voice to start to speak to me and coach me and tell me, yes, you can receive help and you can receive a hand up. You can receive an investment from other people. So in order for me to feed that voice, I have to listen to that voice in that respect. Number one, train that voice. How do you train that voice? By you talking. I have to tell myself these things out loud. And I know this sounds a little silly, but sometimes looking in the mirror and saying you are worthy of help, you are valuable and important, and people find what you do and who you are worth supporting. I have to say that to me. There's nothing wrong with that. That don't make you crazy. It don't make me crazy. It makes me successful because I've identified a roadblock, I've identified a block, and now this is a strategy that I'm using to not just break through it, but demolish it. Another thing is, again, your relationships around you are so important. When you're doing the right thing, going in the right direction, divine assignment says these people and these situations and these circumstances must align to guide you on your path. So the right people will come into your life, and they're put into your life to guide you to your next step, guide you to your next level. For me, as those people are being added, I have to accept and receive the help. And that comes with a lot of humility. You got to be able to allow yourself to be humble and know that, and I got to throw this out there because I truly believe this, you got to know that it's God and others that are responsible for your success. Sometimes it's not what you do and what you know, it's who you know and who you allow to love you and grow you forward. So again, for me, is growing and allowing and receiving that love, that embracing, that acceptance, that hand-holding, and that guiding forward. So again, this is all part of the build your confidence, know yourself, be successful, achieve your dreams. One of the ways you can do that is by making sure that you don't have any internal blocks that's stopping you from your success. Identify those things. Don't be scared to look at it. Don't be scared to admit that you're not perfect. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You want to admit that because that's how you can get free from that. I hope this helps you. Again, sweet tea times. Get rid of them blocks, man. Know thyself so you can grow thyself. Succeed on purpose, man. That's why you here. All right, I'll see you again next week.